Hey, you loyal listeners out there, I have a question for you. Do you ever wake up and having your hair look like this? Well, let me introduce a revolutionary new invention that'll change the way your head is operating. It's called a hat. Preferably a cowboy hat, because yeehaw. Alright, so today's video is going to be about all the YONKO commanders in One Piece, because we have quite a few of them. With the reveal of King and Queen on Kaito's crew, we now have a pretty good idea of all the YONKO commanders. Now, each YONKO kind of has like a different hierarchy of their individual crew. Like Whitebeard, for instance, had a much larger crew, not quite as big as like Kaito's or Big Mom's, but large in terms he had a lot of commanders working under him. He had 16 division commanders, whereas like Kaito and Big Mom only have 3 each. Shanks probably also doesn't have very many, because Shanks is, honestly, we don't know the whole size of his crew. We don't know how many ships he has and everything, but from what we've seen so far, it's just one ship, and just everybody in that crew is on said ship. So I'm sure Shanks has allies and stuff, but he has probably less than 100 people on his crew, and still having a status as YONKO. That's pretty impressive. Then we have Blackbeard, who is the newest YONKO that also kind of followed suit from Whitebeard, and he has 10 division commanders he calls the 10 Titanic Captains, which, now that I think about it, I wonder if the fact that he named them the Titanic Captains, if that's going to be foreshadowing in a sense. Get it? Because last time we checked on the Titanic, hold on, let me get a status update on the Titanic. Yeah, it's not looking too hot. So, yeah. But, yeah, so that's pretty good. We don't know everything about every single one. We don't know every single YONKO commander's bounties. But I just wanted to go through every single one and just discuss it a little bit. So, because we have the hats and we have Ace Pop figurine here, because Ace is obviously the most marketable out of all of the YONKO commanders. I mean, Smoothie also. I think there's some options for merch with Smoothie, but we're holding off on that. Hold on, that looks kind of sad over there. There's only no. There we go. I got a cactus cup. Do you guys have a cactus cup? I have a cactus cup. All right, that works a lot better over there. Okay, so yeah, the Whitebeard crew. I already made a whole video about every single individual division commander, so I'm not going to do that here. However, when it comes to the commanders in terms of power, in terms of when the world government looks at the Whitebeard crew, who are the people, who are the names that they really fear? I highly doubt it's going to be Fossa. I highly doubt it's going to be holy crap, that's the Whitebeard Division 15 Commander Fossa! Batten down the hatches! Marineford is doomed! I think it's only the top ones. So we're talking Marco, we're talking Ace, we're talking Jozu and Vista. Thatch, maybe. The only thing about Thatch is Blackbeard killed him, so you might be thinking, oh, he couldn't have been that strong because, he died. Blackbeard took him out and whatever. But you also have to figure, Blackbeard was working on the Whitebeard crew for a very long time. He learned all the ins and outs. He probably knew all the weaknesses, and when each of the crew went to bed, he probably, as soon as he saw Thatch grab the Yami Yami no Mi, he was already making notes in his head, all right, Thatch, 4th Division Commander, he goes to bed at 10:36 every single night after preparing the next day's meals. Thatch was the ship's chef, so it's or the head chef, and it's he was planning out everything. I wonder how he did it. I wonder how Blackbeard did it. Do you think he just snuck into Thatch's quarters and took his Wolverine claws and just raked it, and that's how he finished it off? He certainly was not careful about it. He didn't try to make it look like an accident, because everybody on the crew knew it was Teach that killed him. But yeah, so just because Blackbeard took him out that way, seemingly easy, I'm not going to say Thatch was weak. It's just the last place you expect an attack to come from is your own crew, especially when you're on a YONKO crew. It's just no one's even going to come close to our fleets, the Moby Dick and all of our ships. Well, everybody, I'm turning in. Good night, everybody. Good night, Thatch! Teach is just hanging off to the side, just polishing a gun, yeah, good night, Commander Thatch. Hey, by the way, it's gonna be pretty hot tonight. You better leave your windows and your door open. Well, thank you, Teach. Aw, man, you're always looking out for me. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, maybe Thatch would have been a commander as well. And now there's other division commanders too, there's Flamenco, there's King Du, who is the most immaculate German bodybuilder ever. Watch him click my pecs. I don't know what that meant, but okay. So yeah, there's other division commanders, but I'm sure the Marines and the world government are not looking at King Du in the same light as Marco. All right, there's a completely different class here, right? Now, Whitebeard's crew is interesting because when we find out Ace's bounty, at the time, it was an incredibly high bounty. 550 million. I mean, pre-time skip, that is insane. That was higher than Luffy's bounty. When Oda was talking about if, like, Eneru were to become a pirate on the East Blue, his bounty would be 500 million. That's even higher than that. So 550 was one of the highest we've seen in the series up until that point, right? Well, then post-time skip happened, and we got to see, like, all the other Yonko commanders. Case in point, Jack being the first one we really get to see in terms of, like, bounty, and his was 1 billion. So almost double Ace's. And every other Yonko commander we have seen since then, Smoothie, Cracker, Kata Curry, Queen, we don't know Kings yet, they all had bounties that were maybe not all 1 billion, but pretty close to 1 billion. Cracker's was 860 million, and Smoothie's was 932 million, so those were really close. I wrote them all down because I had to keep this straight somehow. So, yeah, then Kata Curry's, Jacks, and Queens are all 1 billion plus. All right, so when you look at it from that angle, Ace's bounty, it was kind of low. Now, there's a few reasons for that. Remember, Ace was relatively new to the Whitebeard crew. He became a pirate, at age 17. He set out from Fuchsia. He was being a pirate for a little while, gathering up his own crew, becoming, infamous in his own right. He was even offered a position as the Warlords at one point. And then he became a member of Whitebeard's crew a little bit into his journey, right? So maybe just because the world government is like, all right, yeah, this Ace kid, he's kind of like an up-and-coming kind of pirate. He's pretty strong. He has a Logia. He's not to be trifled with. But, you look at, like, the other commanders on Whitebeard's crew, like Marco and Jozu and Vista, that have been there for decades, probably. And also think of it this way. Let's say Ace would have survived Marineford, like he would have made it out alive, and the government and the entire world now has new knowledge that he is the son of Goldie Roger. His bounty, if he would have escaped, that would have shot through the freaking ceiling. It would have went up to, like, I'm not even, like, 1.5 billion, like Luffy's at right now. Very likely it would have gotten that high or higher. Like, not just from the fact that he managed to escape Marineford and everything, but Roger's son. You cannot let that guy just lie around with, like, just tack on a few more 100 million. Like, 700 million for the son of Roger. No, it would go over 1 billion easily. So you could look at it like that, like they just weren't completely aware of all the information. I mean, obviously, after the world government found out that Ace was Roger's son, they didn't bother raising his bounty at that point because he was already in their, what's the word I'm thinking for? You ever just think about a word and it's there and you want to grab it in the air? Custody, that's it. He was already in their custody, and there's no point, right? And then he died at Marineford, so that was it there. So yeah, that's the deal with Whitebeard's crew. 16 division commanders. I'm sure each and every one of them had a bounty, but probably as the numbers got higher, the numbers or the bounties got lower. So, Ace, 550 million. I could see, maybe Marco had an 800 or 900 million, maybe 1 billion bounty for Marco. That would have been cool. Jozu and Vista, kind of the same deal. And then when you start getting to, like, Blamenko and everybody a little higher up, who was the other one? Atmos, Water Buffalo Atmos. Like, he probably only had maybe, like, 100, 200 million, something like that. All right. So dangerous, but not like a super threat. All right. So now moving on to Big Mom's crew, we have 3 commanders in her entourage, the Sweet Commanders. There used to be 4, but Snack got removed. However, even with Snack, he had a 600 million berry bounty, so even higher than Ace's in that regard, but Snack failed at eliminating a Rouge, and he got defeated there, and a couple ships got destroyed in the process, so he got demoted from that. But yeah, still a pretty high bounty just for Snack. But the 3 current Sweet Commanders, or at least the current ones that we saw in Totland, because I don't know about Kata Curry. Kata Curry lost, Cracker lost. Smoothie, I mean, she lost in the sense that they got away from her. She didn't lose in the sense that, like, Jinbei didn't jump on, like, Smoothie and just start beating the crap out of her, and then she lost that way. But, so if we're just gonna follow that logic, like, with Snack getting eliminated from the Sweet Commanders because he was defeated, I mean, I guess we have to follow suit, and I guess Cracker and Kata Curry also got removed, and Smoothie's the only Sweet Commander left. Although, I really don't like to think that, because if you look at the Sweet Commanders, you know, including Snack, Snack was like the youngest out of the four at that point. Kata Curry was the second son, Smoothie was the 14th daughter, and Cracker was the 10th son, and then Snack was like the 25th son or something like that. There was a huge age gap between those three and then Snacks. So yeah, probably the situation with Snack was maybe he was just an up-and-coming pirate on the crew, maybe he sunk a few enemy ships, and maybe Big Mom was like, "Ah, Snack, you have proven yourself. We will make you the 4th Sweet Commander. You just have to promise not to screw anything up." Snack's like, "Oh, okay, Mama. No, look at me. Look at my eyes. Don't you ever screw up, Snack. One screw up and you're out of here, Snack." Snack's like, "Okay, Mama." And then what happened? He screwed up. Damn it, Snack, you screwed. It was a rouge, Snack. It was freaking a rouge. What can he do? Oh, he can grow a little bigger and buffer. Wow, that's crazy. You couldn't even handle that, could you? Alright, well, whatever. So, the current Sweet Commanders, we got the strongest, the second son of the Charlotte family, with a bounty of 1,057,000,000, the wielder of the special paramecia Mochi Mochi no Mi, and the wielder of the most badass soundtrack in all of One Piece, Charlotte Kata Curry! He also is a fan of donuts, which I believe yesterday was National Donut Day, so I hope everybody went out there and paid respects to Kata Curry, right? So Kata Curry, you know, he started off as like, you just look at the dude and it's just like, oh boy, this guy's got a lot of edge. You gotta be careful just getting close to him because you just might get yourself a paper cut because that's a lot of edge. He's wearing, you know, the spikes coming out of him, like he has a spike knee guard. He's got the freaking, what are those things called? Like, spurs on his boots. He's got the red hair. He's got the scarf. It's just like the leather vest. And I'm like, oh, where's this going? You know? But no, he actually turned out to be a rather likable character, especially when you learn about his backstory. And it kind of follows the same theme as Pudding and a lot of stuff in Totland, where Big Mom wanted to create a world where there's no discrimination based on race, which is a good idea in concept, but instead of discriminating based on that, they discriminate based on, like, physical appearance. Like, you got a third eye, you have a pelican eel mouth, ha ha ha, that's so funny. And Big Mom, like, participates in this as well. Like, Big Mom herself was making fun of Smoothie's eyes, not realizing that's kind of antithetical to what the goal of her entire country was. So after you find out about that backstory, I mean, not every sibling hated Kata Curry for it, like Daifuku and Oven, his twin brothers, and also you also have, Pero Sparrow, he didn't care about it, really. But when you start getting, once again, down the line, you know, they started making fun of him for it. Even, like, that's still, like, you know, that still just agitates me, the way Flambe acted, you know? Like, how shallow you have to be. How shallow, like, everybody in the crew has to be, really. Because it's just like, you know, oh, that's Kata Curry. He's so amazing. He's so awesome. He's so strong. Ah, I love him so much. All I want is him to look in my general direction, possibly speak to me. Oh, he's amazing. And then you find out his mouth's all stitched up and he has some, like, razor teeth. It's like, oh god, he's so disgusting. Loser. Oh, look at that dude. He's so freaking, oh god, I can't believe I ever liked that guy. Do you guys watch Cyanide and Happiness, the cartoon on YouTube, the little shorts? The Shark Rad one, where his dad was a superhero, and the kid hated his dad when he was, like, in his alter ego, and then he's like, I'm gonna reveal myself as this superhero that my kid loves, and he's like, I'm Shark Rad, and he's like, my Shark Rad is my dad? Shark Rat sucks! You're lame now! I'm like, oh my god, that's hilarious. But it's horrible. You feel for Kata Curry. And when Flambe acted that way to him and everybody, you know, Kata Curry just kind of, like, sighs. Just like, I thought I was done with all this crap. Okay, I thought if I become this really strong warrior and I hide my mouth and everything, then maybe the people in the crew would accept me. And I'm in my freaking 40s now and people are still making fun of me for this. Not everybody. Like, you got, you know, his brothers and Brule as well. Brule Didn't care, but man, you make you feel bad for Kata Curry, but he was a pretty cool character. I want to see Kata Curry again in action. He's probably not in Wano right now. I'm assuming he's in Totland, kind of holding down the fort in case it's invaded by other forces, but yeah. So then we have Smoothie, who, I mean, Big Mom is probably the female in the story that has the highest bounty, but we do not know her bounty yet. So as of right now in the story, when it comes to female pirates, Smoothie has the highest bounty, 932 million of highest known bounties. Big Mom's is easily going to be over 1 billion, so it's easily going to dwarf hers, but from what we know right now, which is impressive. So, yeah, she has a fruit that allows her to dehydrate other living organisms, which is pretty horrifying. Like, she'll grab a human and just, like, literally drain them out of their fluids and their essence and pour it into a wine glass and drink it. She can, like, stab people with her sword and, like, suck out the liquid from them, and just kind of like similar to Crocodile's fruit, and then absorbs it into her so she can become giant, and like she can launch like Getsuga Tenshos from her blade, which are like water waves like at her opponents. So she's pretty strong, and Oda even came out and said like, yeah, Smoothie's pretty powerful, and she went to Wano, so I hope to see her in action there, because it really did seem like the way that Oda talked about her in SBSs and things, and even in, you know, just from the way he was kind of setting her up, like, yeah, she's pretty strong, and she could do a lot of really damage with her devil fruit. It's just we didn't get the chance to see it, because a lot of the times, I mean, we saw Smoothie she was on her boat, you know, sailing, trying to catch up with the Thousand Sunny and everything, and so she didn't really have a chance to really get like close up and personal and get into like a balls out fight with like Brook or Jinbei or anybody, you know. If that would have happened, that would have been really cool to see. So that's Smoothie. I like her. She's a giant woman, so that's pretty cool. All right, and then we have Cracker finally. Oh man, I want to make a Cracker video, because it's like, Cracker's like the one guy I've just like never talked about, really. I've never made a whole focused video on him, alright? And he is a sweet commander. It's just, he shows up at the beginning of Totland, and Luffy defeats him, and he's gone from the rest of the arc. We don't even see him again after that. Like, we don't even see him in like the infirmary in like a full body cast, sucking oatmeal through a straw, like... Oh, so I'm assuming he's still alive. It's just that he has such a low pain tolerance. Whenever Luffy, you know, Gamu Gamu no freaking cannon, and blasted him off to the other side of the island, like through 16 buildings, and he crashed down, probably broke every bone in his body. He was just like, I'm done for the arc. I'm tagging out, guys. Smoothie and Kata Curry can take care of this. Tag out, you know? So because of that, he was defeated so quickly, you know, you kind of tend to gloss over it. But when you really think about it, I mean, Cracker was pretty impressive in his own right. I mean, he had this power of the Bisque fruit that allowed him to create these, like, not indestructible, but pretty damn durable Cracker soldiers. Unless you figured out their one weakness, which was moisture, well, then yeah, you couldn't really defeat them with conventional weapons. You know, Big Mom turned some of them into homies, so they would, like, patrol around the island, and he could just basically make an infinite supply of these Cracker soldiers. It's just that he really should have thought maybe things out a little bit more when he was fighting Luffy. Because when he was fighting Luffy, they got basically locked in this stalemate where Nami just kept using her weather eggs to cause rain to make the crackers soft. So you think Cracker, at that moment when he realized that, he should have focused on attacking Nami and getting rid of her and her ability? Or he should have just retreated. Like, they were fighting all night. Like, you'd figure at some point, like 3 or 4 hours into the fight, Cracker should have just been like, yeah, okay, this isn't working, you know, I keep trying to attack him, and the crackers get soft, and he can repel my attacks with that Gear 4th, or that busty orange-haired girl up there melts my crackers. Maybe he tried to attack Nami, but Luffy kept protecting her, or she used the power of the Viva Card to help the homies, you know, protect her or something. So you think at some point, though, Cracker should have just been like, okay, you know what, screw this, and just created like 20 soldiers to kind of run interference and distract Luffy, kind of form a blockade to, you know, keep him busy for a little bit while Cracker just ran away and regrouped. I'm not saying like, you know, run with his tail between his legs back to Big Mom and be like, Mama, I couldn't do it, because that's just a death sentence right there. But, you know, run away and use your status as Sweet Commander to command a few other members of the Big Mom crew to come together and fight Luffy. Like, somebody whose powers were a little bit effective there. Like, it's like, alright, get freaking Amande, and get Mont d'Or out here, and get Baron Tamago, and have them help me with this fight, because we're kind of in a stalemate here, and then don't worry. And then Cracker could have used his power in conjunction with, like, the Enraged Army, or maybe a smaller version of the Enraged Army, and then fight against Luffy that way. So, Cracker was kind of an idiot in that respect. He's just like, well, we've been fighting for like 10 hours, but, you know, we're just gonna keep going, I guess. You know, so that's the situation there with Cracker. Like I said, he had a bounty of 860 million, so pretty high, and a pretty good devil fruit. It's just his main weakness being, like, as soon as you get him out of his shell, he had a very low pain tolerance, and if you just get one solid hit out on him, like Luffy blasted him away, like, to the other side of the island. You don't even need to go that far. If Luffy would have gotten one solid, like, hawk rifle, like a Gear 2nd hawk rifle out on Cracker in his just normal form, he would have dropped. He would have just been like a flock of seagulls, just done, you know, right? So, yeah, but Cracker, I mean, he had a cool design. He had his hair was sparking, get it? Because, like, a firecracker, it took me way longer than it should have to realize that, but okay. So that's Big Mom's crew. Then we have Kaito, where we at right now. Kaito is the most awesome out of all of them because he has a crew of dinosaurs working for him. I mean, like, Kata Curry's sweet and everything. He's got a scarf. Ace, of course, he had a cool cowboy fire design and everything, but, you know, Kaito is a dragon, don't know if you've heard. He also has a pteranodon, a brachiosaur, and a mammoth working under him, plus a legion of other dinosaurs. I was thinking about this today, actually. I woke up and I was thinking about it while working on this video. You know, those 6 flying captains, like the 6 strongest headliners, you know, on Kaito's crew, you know, those captains are probably all just probably one rank away from being an all-star. Like, what if one of the all-stars was defeated? Probably one of those 6 flying captains would be promoted to all-star, right? So we saw Drake and we saw Page 1 that were both part of that 6 flying captains, and they had both dinosaur fruits, ancient zones. So I'm thinking the remaining 4 also have dinosaur zones. So maybe that way we can get the Tyrannosaurus Rex in there, and we can get the Triceratops, and maybe 2 other dinosaurs as well, or something. You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool. But yeah, so the All-Stars. We got Jack the Drought with a bounty of 1 billion, even. Then we have Queen the Plague, the power of the Brachiosaur fruit, with a bounty of 1,320,000,000. And then we have King the Wildfire, or the way that I like to say it, King the Conflagration! Conflagration! And we don't know his bounty, but he can turn into a Pteranodon, alright? So he can fly around, and giant Pteranodon and stuff like that. So, yeah, we don't know much about King and Queen. We know a little bit more about Queen, because he's been pretty prominent in the most recent developments in Wano. He's the warden of Udon and of the prisons there and everything, and, you know, he has the mechanical arm, and he seems like a biker kind of dude. He has a few, like, machinations he makes, mechanical machinations, as it were. And he could turn into a Brachiosaur last chapter, which a lot of people were kind of looking at that like, interesting choice, like, because he's the plague, and it's like, because with Jack, okay, Jack can turn into a giant mammoth, and he can stomp out, like, the crops in any island that he arrives at, so that's why he's called Jack the Drought, or Jack the Dragdown, as Queen states. But when it comes to Queen, who's a dinosaur, brachiosaur, like, the plague, I'm like, I don't know, maybe, like, I don't know, like, Queen smokes cigars, so maybe Queen could, like, smoke a bunch of cigars as a brachiosaur and just, like, blow the smoke all over the island, and it's I'm trying to come up with an idea here. That's why a lot of people were thinking Queen was going to have some sort of, like, ancient zone scorpion fruit or something. So it's like, you know, you can infect the people of the island with some sort of disease or poison or something. But maybe that's the case there. I don't know. But, or maybe it just could be a title just for the sake of, it sounds cool. You know, like Jack. You look at that. Like, Jack the Drought. Jack, like, does not have the ability to, like, wither crops just by looking at them or anything. It's not how it works. It's more of just, like, yeah, when he comes to town, he stomps over everything and destroys it. That's why he's the Drought. Now, King is a little different, because King is the wildfire, right? And King is always seen, like, having fire coming out of his back, but his ancient zone is a Pteranodon, so the fire is some other means. Like, I don't know if he just douses himself with flammable liquid and just does that or whatever, but yeah, he has some other ability that allows him to control fire, at least in a limited capacity, but it might be because of some machine or something he has. I mean, it's like a flamethrower attached to his back or something. So we don't really know exactly how it works with King. But when it comes to Queen and Jack, it's a little bit more figurative rather than like Queen having literal plague powers, Jack having literal drought powers, you know, nothing like that. But yeah, these are the group that we know the least about, but also they're pretty simple. I mean, Jack is not really a complicated character. He's just a big hulking dude that turns into a mammoth and, you know, just, you know, without discrimination, just stomps and just destroys as much as he can. Queen is a little bit more fun because he does the fun little funky dances. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm doing my funky Queen dance, yeah! So that Queen's more fun, and then King is just kind of like a demented sex gimp with how he has all the leather and everything. Oh my god, can you imagine like just if he's in that all the time, like the funk that's got to be coming off of him, you know? It's just kind of the same deal with Darth Vader. It's like Darth Vader is like this like severe burn victim and he's just covering himself in leather. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm sure that breathes perfectly. And I don't know much about, you know, expanded Star Wars lore. Maybe all those little buttons on Darth Vader control like his air conditioning for his suit or something. I don't know, but that just doesn't seem like a smart idea there. Okay, so that's Kaito's crew. Those are the All-Stars. The Calamities is what they're usually referred to as. So then we have Blackbeard's crew. Now Blackbeard's, I made a whole video about that also, so not going to go into huge detail there. I did a video. It was actually when the Vivera card came out that covered the crew. I went through like each of the individual captains. All right, so he's got the 10 Titanic captains, which pretty much are all here gathered, except for San Juan Wolf because he's so huge. He's behind them all right here. But of course, we have Jesus Burgess or Jesus Burgess. We got Lafitte. We got Van Auger. We got Shiryu of the Rain. We got Katarina Devon. We got Alvaro Pizarro. We have Doc Q. Vasco shot. So yeah, those are all the members of the 10 Titanic captains. Now, we know this is an interesting thing because normally we don't know the YONKO bounty, but we do know the commander's bounty. In this case, we do know Blackbeard's bounty. It is 2,247,600,000. Don't know why they have to tack on the 600,000, but whatever. So we know Blackbeard's bounty, but we don't know any of the bounties, the current bounties of his captains, of his commanders. We know the previous bounties they had, like before the time skip. Burgess had a bounty of 20 mil, Augers was 64, Lafitte's was 42.2, and Doc Q's was 72. Doc Q had the highest, like, bounty out of the starting crew, the original, like, 5, okay? So that's the case back then, but we don't know what their bounties are now that they've become a YONKO fleet. But yeah, so I would like to think it's similar to Whitebeard, but I think the government takes them a lot more seriously than they did there. So if we're gonna follow my logic, like, with the Whitebeard crew, it was, like, Marco and Jozu and Vista, maybe they had the higher bounties, like, closer to 1 billion, and then everybody else, like, Blamenko and, like, Speed Jiru and Izo and everybody had like bounties maybe around 100 to 200 million, like a little bit lower on that spectrum. I think the case with the 10 Titanic captains with Blackbeard's crew, because they're very well known as like infamous criminals that were so dangerous they had to be thrown in level 6 impel down. I'm just going to throw this out there, and you can maybe throw it out there like, you know, I'm a little bit too high hopes there, but I like to think every single member of the 10 Titanic captains is going to have a bounty, if not close to 1 billion, you know, over 1 billion. Like, that's going to be the situation there. Like, every single one. Like, all the level 6 prisoners, you know they're going to give a high bounty for. Not just because they're part of Blackbeard's fleet, but because they're level 6 prisoners. They've already had to do something pretty screwed up to get in there. So it's like, holy crap, Alvaro Pizarro was this corrupt king. We thought he was so dangerous, we threw him in level 6 to remove him from the history of the world. Then he got out, which is dangerous in and of itself, but then he allied with the Blackbeard crew. I think of Alvaro Pizarro, he's got to have a bounty over 1 billion. Same thing with Devon, same thing with Vasco, same thing with San Juan. Shiryu, also very dangerous. He has probably government secrets because he worked for Impel Down, so his bounty I could see being over 1 billion. You know, Burgess, you know, he's just really kind of like a tough kind of fighter, but, you know, he was one of the original crew, so he's probably one of the, like, kind of more dangerous in that respect, if you want to look at it that way. So, I'm not saying every single one has, like, 1 billion plus, but it's going to be close. Like Lafitte, for instance. I don't think Lafitte is probably, you know, that much of a fighter, so maybe his bounty might not be as high. Maybe Lafitte's bounty is like 8 or 900 million. All right, but when it comes to like those level 6 prisoners in Shiryu, I mean, I think 1 billion plus is fair game for those. Doc Q, I would say his would be lower, but he has had the highest starting bounty out of all of them. So Doc Q might be pretty high up there. I'm not sure, but that's the BB crew, all right? I think they're a lot more dangerous and from the world government's eyes compared to the Whitebeard crew, even though they have a similar kind of structure. And it makes sense they would have a similar structure because Blackbeard was on Whitebeard's crew for all those years, so when he started his own crew, he was probably just like, you know what, I'm going to take a page from Pops, I had to end up ending his life and getting his devil fruit, but he had a really good way of structuring his crew. I'm going to structure mine kind of the similar way, so that's the situation there. And then finally, we have Shanks. Red hair Shanks crew. We know none of the bounties on the top-ranked members of the crew. We know Rockstar's bounty. It's like 94 million pre-time skip. That's the only bounty we know. We don't know Shanks or anybody else. But because Shanks' crew is so small, I'm just going to say that the original founding members, the ones that we see here, we see Shanks, we see Lucky Roo, Ben Beckman, of course, who's the first mate, and Yasop. I like to think that, Shanks captain, of course, and then those 3 members are his commanders, so to speak. But the way that Shanks' crew operates, they probably maybe don't even have a structure like that. I mean, I'm sure the world government kind of calls them like, oh yeah, that's red hair Shanks' like commanders, but maybe Shanks doesn't refer to them like that or anything, because Shanks doesn't really seem to be the kind of guy that's just like, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you guys ranks and things. He doesn't seem to be that kind of dude, he's just kind of like, all right, I have a pretty small crew, all things considered. We're all just family here. We're all buds. There's obviously people that are, it's basically more of like just seniority based. It's just like, Lucky Roo and Yasop and Ben Beckman, they were probably the first members that Shanks recruited, so they just have higher status, the same way that you would have higher reverence for like a superior at work or whatever. I guess it depends on who your boss is, but you know what I mean? Like, our boss, he's a nice guy and he's been here for 30 years, so, I've only been here a few years, so I'm going to kind of defer to him. Kind of the same deal with Shanks' crew there, right? So yeah, I think that's pretty simple there. Ben Beckman, Yasop, Lucky Roo, we don't know any of their bounties, but they do have them. Ben Beckman probably having the most seniority right below Shanks. I think that's fair. Although, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, in the Strong World bonus chapter, it looked like Yasop was the first member of the red hair crew because Shanks was in just a tiny dinghy by himself approaching Syrup Village and just being like, hey, I heard there was this really cool sniper living here named Yasop. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Want to join my pirate crew? It's like, well, I got a sick wife and a 6-month-old baby, but, yeah, sure, why not? And he just jumped on the boat and like, all right, let's go. So Yasop might have actually been the very first member of the crew, if we're gonna go by that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on all the YONKO commanders. Let me know below on who your favorite YONKO commander is, and who do you think, out of all of them right now in like Blackbeard's crew, who do you think has the highest bounty aside from Blackbeard himself? I'm gonna say Shiryu. He's not the first fleet captain, that would be Burgess, but Shiryu, wicked strong swordsman, and he worked for Impel Down, and he knew all these government secrets and things, so I'm going to say Shiryu has the highest, right behind him, and then the other ones are also pretty damn high as well, so let me know what you think about that, and the bounties for, like, Marco and Jozu and Vista and everyone like that, too. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Remember, get yourself a cowboy hat, partner.